My name is Rachel Mason. I am the Associate Director of First Year Recruitment here at UMass Amherst. And as I love to say, I am also an unapologetically enthusiastic alum. So glad that you are able to join us today. And let me be, hopefully not the first, but a long line of people to congratulate you on your acceptance to UMass Amherst. I'm one of a team that reads all 51,000 applications that come in. So really, this is an amazing achievement, and we're so glad to welcome you to this discussion, and really looking forward to answering questions and giving you an idea of what it's like to be a student here at the university. All right, then. Let's get started. Let's talk a little bit about what we are going to be doing today. Luckily, you're actually not going to hear as much from me as you are from our current students who are going to answer your questions and talk to you a lot about what it's like to be a student here. So as you are thinking about your own students and what their lives may be like, there's a lot to offer here at the university, and we're really looking forward to delving into those discussions. We're also, of course, going to be talking and answering your questions. So there is a Q&A where you can go ahead and pop your questions in. We'll do our best to answer them throughout the course of the presentation. I will say we'll probably get a lot more questions we're able to answer, but we will definitely be giving you resources that you can utilize as well as you go down this process of making a decision about where your student will be attending. And you can send, again, those questions in the Q&A, and we're happy to answer them. It's my pleasure now to actually invite our student tour guides to say hello and introduce themselves and begin our presentation.
Hi, everyone. Yeah, my name is Ria. Nice to meet you all. I'm a junior and I am from Westchester County, New York. I'm studying psychology and economics, and I have a business minor. And I absolutely love UMass. I'm involved in quite a few things here on campus. Obviously, I'm a tour guide, which I absolutely love. It's my favorite job. But aside from that, I'm also a resident assistant, which means that I live in the dorms with other students, and I just kind of monitor the halls, make sure everything's okay, and everyone's safe and takes care of their well-being. Aside from that, I'm in a few clubs. I'm in cultural clubs like FASA, which is South Asian Students Association. They put on fabulous events, like South Asian cultural events. I actually was in one last night, so that was super fun. And also I was involved in some research on campus in the economics department, and that was a great opportunity. So yeah, I absolutely love it here. I'll pass it on to Chris.
Thanks, Ria. Hi, everyone. My name is Chris. I'm a senior marketing and journalism double major from Windsor, Massachusetts. So I'm about 2 hours east of Amherst, Massachusetts. Been a tour guide all 4 years. Obviously, that's why I'm joining you guys here today. But like Ria, I'd like to say pretty busy outside the classroom as well. So I've been a part of a bunch of different things throughout my 4 years here. So I've done club lacrosse. I've been a part of the Eisenberg Sales Club. I have another job as a social media content creator for the Eisenberg School of Management. I've done like a million different intramural sports and a lot of other cool things I've tried out throughout the 4 years that I'm not really going to list. But again, congratulations on getting to UMass. If you guys have any questions throughout, feel free to throw them in the chat, and all the tour guides will be happy to answer them. But I'll pass it over to Deanna.
Thank you, Chris. So my name is Diana. I am a managerial economics major, and I'm also a minor in computer science. I am currently a senior, so this is my last semester. I'm almost done and wrapping up. I am a tour guide, but other than that, I'm also a TA for one of my ResiCon classes that I'm taking. Alongside that, I've also been a part of a bunch of intramural sports, so maybe football, basketball. I've done both of those. And yeah, I love to keep myself busy. So with that, I'm going to pass it on to Fayo.
Thank you, Diana. So hi, everyone. My name is Fayo. I am also a senior. I'm a double major in marketing and communications, minor psychology. And I'm also an international student as I live and I'm from Nigeria. talk about what I do on campus. I've also been a tour guide since my freshman year, so this is my 4th year here. Again, great job. I work as a peer advisor in Isenberg. I also work as a teaching assistant in Isenberg. I'm a peer mentor in Thoreau Hall. And I'm also an admissions diversity fellow. I'm a part of a couple clubs, but I'm not going to bore you with that. I'm going to pass it off to Rachel to continue it for us.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much for taking time out of what you can see are incredibly busy lives that our students live. And my pleasure is now to turn it back over to them to talk about what a day in the life at UMass looks like.
Yeah, so this is a little bit about UMass. We are number 26 in the top public university. We have over 300 registered student organizations, which basically means clubs. So we have a ton of those. We have #1 campus dining, which you're probably going to hear a lot about. We love our campus dining. It's absolutely amazing. It is 100% worth the hype. So hopefully you guys can try it if you come on campus. We do also have 370 research lab groups. UMass is obsessed with research. Like, we get a ton of funding in the state right after MIT and Harvard. I don't know if you heard of those schools, but yeah, basically we get a ton of funding for research. So a lot of students do like to get involved their freshman year, and it's super easy to do so. We also have over 90 undergraduate degree programs, and we're also located in Amherst, Massachusetts, which was voted the best college town in America. And it is. It's super nice, and there's so much to do.
Yeah, so here's a little bit about our community as well. Very diverse community at that. Obviously, we are a very large university, and we welcome students from all over the country and all over the world as well. So here's some quick stats that we can throw out to you guys real quick. So we have 34% of our student body are students of color. 23% of our students are the first in their family to go to college, they're first-gen students. 23% of our students are Pell Grant recipients. We have about 23,000 undergraduates every single year, and about 6,000 to 7,000 graduate students, making up a total student population of about 30,000 students every single year. And like I said, they're coming from not only all around the country, but all around the world as well, with a grand total of about 1,700 international students every single year. And all of our undergraduate students come from 48 states. I know it changes every single year. I think last year we were missing Alaska. I'm not going to get second one because I actually don't know it. But yeah, hopefully next year we'll have all 50. But yeah, some quick stats, and I'll pass it over to Fio.
Yeah, so right now we're going to talk about living at UMass. So there are 5 first-year residential areas that you guys can choose to live in when you come here. So there's Southwest, Northeast, Orchid Hill, Central, and Honors. So these are the 5 places that you can live in as a first-year student. And how it works is you will have to put your preference or your top 3. I always like to say on my tours that I could say 90% of the time you get into your first choice, and then 100% of the time you get into your second choice. You would more than never get into your third choice, but we just have the top 3 just for formalities. So I always recommend that you guys put in the first 2. Your top 2 should be places that you actually see yourself living in. I would explain every single area, but I'm just going to talk about a couple of them. So I live in Southwest. I've lived in Southwest all through my freshman year to my senior year. We like to call Southwest a city in herself. If you like the hustle and bustle of a city, you like noise at certain times, they just like always seeing people outside. Southwest could definitely be for you, but if that's not for you, our 4 other residential areas are 100% open. Central is in the center of campus, so if you want to be in a place where you're not too far but not too close from places, you could choose to live there. Northeast, a lot of students that live here are STEM majors just because it's really close to your labs, but you do not have to be a STEM major to live here. The really great thing about living here is that you get to live close to Worcester Dining Hall, our newest renovated dining hall that we have. So that's a plus, and that's the reason why people live there. We have Orchid Hill. She is the smallest residential area on campus, and she is on a hill, but I like to think that she's a very calm place to live. If you like the quiet, if you like seeing great sunsets, sunrises, Orchid Hill would 100% be for you. Lastly, Honors. the questions I always get when I talk about the honors residential area is, how do I become an honor student? When you apply to UMass, you're automatically reviewed for the honors college, so you can either get in or not get in. It's okay if you don't get in when you first apply to UMass. You can always reapply as a UMass student, but only honor students live in the honors residential areas. They're the only ones with ACs, so keep that in mind. But sometimes you don't need a fan or an AC, but if you do want to live in a place with 100% ACs, you can definitely look into the honors college. And yeah, as you grow in your career, so as you become a sophomore, you can move into like a little apartment in the honors college, and that's something that only honor students get to have. But yeah, that's what I would say about where to live on campus. Again, you're living with your RAs and your PMs. So RAs are your residential assistants, PMs are peer mentors, and these are upperclassmen that have been through the whole process of living on campus, and their job is just to make sure that you're okay and you're doing good, whether it's academically or just your life as a student here at UMass. And a question that I'll just quickly answer right now is how to find a roommate. So there are 3 ways to find a roommate. The first is to go random, which people are scared of, but I think it's the easiest way, because we don't just check you with anyone random. You get to fill out a quick survey. We learn about you and we try to match you with an almost perfect person. The second way is by mutual request. So if you know someone that's coming to UMass and both of you are both committed to UMass, you can choose to room with yourselves and mutually request each other so you can room together. The third way is through our Facebook group chat. So every class has a Facebook group chat. Again, I'm in the class of 24 and I did join my Facebook group chat. How that works is you request to join, and when we see that you have paid your deposit to UMass, we will let you, the admin will let you into the group chat. You basically are in there to find a roommate by yourself. It's sort of like online dating, but trying to find a roommate. So I did the same thing again because I was in Nigeria. So I was like, hi, my name is Fayo. I'm about to come from Nigeria. This is my major, da, 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 da. And I actually did find someone. She messaged me, and till today we are still friends, and we roomed together for 2 years. So that's something that you guys can definitely take into account when you're trying to figure out who to room with. But now I'm going to pass it off to Ria to talk about classes.
Well, and I actually think we have a video of the dorm to show as well. Though I will warn anyone, if you're out there in the audience, if watching a 360-degree tour of a dorm room or other type of experience makes you somewhat queasy, this might be the time to turn your camera off, but we can also offer some other opportunities to learn more. Well, let's go ahead and take a look at that dorm room. I don't know, Fine, if you want to jump in and narrate what we're looking at here.
Yeah, you know what is so crazy? This is my dorm room. This was my dorm room.
No, it is
This is
not.
yeah, my sophomore year. So yeah, the right side is, that's my bed. But this is a regular double. And again, what we love about UMass, and what I loved about being here, was the fact that I got to do this in my room. I love to decorate my room. I love to decorate my space, and my roommate loves to do that as well. So I got to make my wall look like that. And you both have your tables and your chairs, and you have your closets and everything. So yeah, this is very interesting. I did not know this was gonna be my room. But yeah.
We did not do it on purpose. You did a very nice job. You made very good use of the space.
It was very fun. It was so fun. You guys can look forward to it as well.
Turn it back over for a discussion of the classroom experience.
Sure. So yeah, the classroom experience, basically, no matter what your student's major is going to be, you're going to have some classes probably in the Integrative Learning Center. So all these pictures are located, our classes in the Integrative Learning Center. It's basically this huge academic building where your student will have classes from any topic, probably, maybe some math classes, maybe some STEM classes, maybe some literature, some English, basically whatever major your student is majoring in. So it's also a really nice place to study. There's a nice cafe in there. So yeah, we really like to highlight this building. But alongside that, classes will basically run all day for your student. They're probably going to sooner or later learn if they're morning or afternoon class person, and if they like to take them all at once or have breaks throughout the day. For example, freshman year, I knew that I wasn't going to be able to wake up super early. I was never a morning person, so it was really nice. I told my advisor that, and they told me, here are some classes that start after 11 or after 12. So it was nice. My day was basically from like 12 to like 4 or 5 p.m. and that worked like perfectly for me. And so, yeah, your student is going to be in charge of their own academic schedule and can tailor it to themselves. And another really nice thing is that UMass makes sure that there are at least 15 minutes between every single class. So you won't have to be like running around all over campus to get from one class to another. You will have a solid 15 minutes, which is more than enough to get from one class to another. Most of my classes really only take like 5 to like 7 minutes to get to each other. So I really like that. And yeah, a little bit more about academics. There is like a very good hands-on learning experience. Again, like I mentioned, research. UMass is obsessed with research, and so are our professors. If you go and talk to any of them, they will just sit down with you and talk about their research because they're really, really involved in it. So we offer sometimes when I say research, I know some people think like, oh, like STEM related research or like, I feel like that has that kind of a connotation, but that is not the case at UMass. Like you can do research in basically any single subject that you want. For example, I did research in economics, which people may not, really think of as like a subject to do research in, but yeah, I did economic research and it was amazing. I got a ton of like hands-on learning to use like on how to use like a ton of like databases and like computer programming. So that was fun. There is a really strong relationship with that you're going to have with your TAs or your teaching assistants. And basically these are just graduate students who are working for the professor, and they're basically going to sit through every single class you have with you, and they're going to study that material as well. And you can go to them for help with anything. So I know sometimes, it's not the easiest thing to just raise your hand in the middle of class and, ask a question, especially since some of these classes are going to be around 200-300 student lectures. So sometimes it's a little intimidating, but fortunately for that, we have office hours. So professors and teaching assistants are like, they have to have office hours for at least twice a week. And there are typically 5 to 10 teaching assistants for those larger classes. So you will almost have like 10 to 20 hours of office hours to like go and talk to your professor or your teaching assistant about basically anything that you want. It could be homework related or exam related, or like if you just want to like sit down and talk to them and you think they're a really cool professor. But yeah, I'll pass it back to Chris to talk about our amazing dining.
Yes, I was just wrapping up one question. Let's talk about dining. Yes, so now that we've gone through a little portion of our day, we're gonna go into dining. I know Rhea just touched upon it, but we have the best food in the country, and it really does live up to the hype. If you guys get a chance, or if you all have and your families have a chance to get on campus at any point, I highly suggest going to one of the dining commons and just seeing what all the hype is about, because it really is for real. It's one of those things you don't really appreciate until you start visiting other schools and really start seeing how good our food is comparatively. But for today, we're going to be going to Worcester Dining Commons. So you can see in that bottom middle picture right there, that is a picture of the outside of it. It's brand new. And all the other pictures are pictures, I believe, inside the dining hall. At least that top middle one is. And within the dining commons, there are so many great options. At Worcester specifically, I love getting the sushi, but they also have great Latin food. I'm trying to think. The grill is great with like the burgers, the pizza. They have a brick oven, which pizza is great. And the dining halls are all very accommodating as well. There's nutritionists in every dining hall, so there's 4 total on campus. And most freshmen will have the unlimited 250 plan, which means you can go to the dining hall an unlimited amount of times throughout the semester. The 250 part refers to the cafes and the other retail locations. There's about 50 of them around campus that you can use those pretty much 250 preloaded dollars on your U card. So in that top right picture, that's a picture of one of the cafes that's located within Worcester. This would be a great example of somewhere you could use those dining dollars. The other places include like Blue Wall. There's pretty much a cafe in every one of our major academic buildings, which is really convenient for students. So if they're studying, spending time working like with friends or getting tutored, something like that, they can always kind of pop into one of the cafes, the academic buildings, use those dining dollars, then get right back to studying instead of having to, study, walk to a dining common, then walk back. It's really convenient for students to be able to kind of pop in and out of all these cafes that are located around campus. So that's where you use those $250. Yeah, again, so this is a great panoramic view of the inside of Worcester Dining Commons. So this is definitely our most diverse dining commons with most diverse array of food. Like I said, the most newly renovated as well, so it's absolutely beautiful inside. And again, it's one of those things where you don't really appreciate it until you're actually eating the food every single day. And I know for me personally, it's been really nice for the past 4 years to actually enjoy every single meal that I'm eating. And I still have the unlimited plan as a senior living off campus. One, because I can't cook, but two, because I really love the food that much. So it's definitely a good mix of both there. But I definitely have been really, really blessed to go to UMass in terms of the food, because it's really nice to not have to spend $1 outside of your meal plan. Like I know a lot of my friends that go to other schools, they do have to do that because their food isn't as good. And I've really never feel the need to go off campus and like get other food because one, I'm broke, and two, the campus food is really, really that delicious. So like I said, if you do have the opportunity to go with your family, I highly suggest checking it out because it is really good and it's also very accommodating as well. Like I said, there's nutritionists in every dining hall. They can also answer any questions about any dietary restrictions as well, which include if you're practicing halal, kosher, if you're gluten free, any sort of dietary restriction, whether that's personal choice, religious dietary restriction, something you like literally just can't physically eat because you're allergic. The school tries to make it so everyone can enjoy the food that they're putting out. So you can always ask nutritionists if you can't eat something, what an alternative to that would be. We have a great gluten-free section as well in all the dining halls. My personal favorite dining hall, Hampshire. One of my friends is gluten-free, and every like Wednesday night, he'll just call ahead and like ask them to make a personal pizza for him, and it'll be like super busy, and they'll still make him like a personal gluten-free pizza. So again, the dining halls want you to be able to enjoy all the food. And it really, really is that good. It's really something that you should check out if you have the opportunity to. So now that we're done eating, indulging in so much food, we can go and talk about where we're going to be studying here on campus.
Yeah, so again, we love the food, but we also love to study for our classes so we can pass them. So where you study is very important. And I must say that there's so many great places to study here on campus. There's so many study spots around. And I think I always say that it really depends on you as a student, but you will find that one spot that you find comfortable and you think you can actually be productive in. I'm just going to talk about some of the ones that we have on campus. So we have obviously our library. She is the tallest red brick academic library in the world. That's just a fun fact that we have here, but she has so many great things. So many services that the library offers are so helpful to us as students. So for example, we have quiet floors in the library. So if you're one to study with no sound at all, you just need absolute silence, we have that service for you on campus. If you make any tiny noise, they will kick you out. So that's something that you guys can always take into consideration if you ever to go onto those floors. We have our learning commons. So if you'd rather study with a group of people, we encourage group learning. We also have our writing center in our library. So if you have like a paper that you're writing and you have like an issue with it, you can always just pop in there and get some advice on it. And when it comes to other places that you can study on campus, we have the Old Chapel, we have the Design Building, South College. You can literally walk into any single building and just go study in there. My friends and I, because we're seniors, we have a bucket list, and our bucket list is to like study in every single building on campus. So we haven't gotten that far, but we've gotten to a good number. But that's just something that we always just want to talk about, just so you know that there are spaces where you can because sometimes you don't want to be in your room 24/7. Maybe you don't want to be in a residential area. You just want somewhere that's kind of different where you can really focus. We have so many of those options here at UMass. So that's something that you guys can think of when you're coming here. I know the next slide is going to show a little tour. Yeah, so this is South College. Very, very, very pleasing to study in. I really believe in where you study should look pretty and it should be comfortable. So I am a fond user of coming to South College. So many rooms, so many collaborative rooms as well that you can study in. And this particular area that you guys are seeing is always filled with students every single day. So that just shows how much our students do love to study outside their rooms and just use the conducive areas that we have. But now I will pass it off to Ria to talk about what we can do outside the classroom.
Absolutely. So now that your student has had a long day of studying and eating, we're going to talk about things to do outside of the classroom. And there is absolutely so much to do in their free time. Today, we're going to visit the recreation center, which has a ton of activities. The recreation center is basically our gym on campus. You can see some of these pictures. We have that courtside cafe, which is a cafe built into our recreation center. They make the most delicious smoothies and acai bowls, so I'm always there after my workout. They also have a ton of those like lifting racks. We have group fitness classes and things like that. There's indoor track, badminton and volleyball and basketball courts. And like I mentioned, with the group fitness classes, all of those are free. And it honestly amazes me how many of those we have here at UMass for like literally every single like activity you can think of, whether it's Pilates or spin or like yoga or broga, which is yoga for the bros, if anyone's into that. So there's a ton of activities to do that honestly I should take advantage of more because they're free for students. I know that some students are paying like $60 to $70 for like one spin class, which is insane when you can, just do it for free in the recreation center. But that is, yeah, our gym. We also have clubs. So we have over 300 RSOs, both religious, cultural, political, athletic, academic, and then, special interest ones. We also have Greek life on campus. Around 8 to 10 of our students 8 to 10%, sorry, of our student body is involved. And there's quite a few types of Greek life involved on campus too. So obviously it is a small amount of our students, but if you think about 8 to 10% of 20,000 students, that does come out to be a lot of students. So they are small but mighty. And UMass isn't the kind of school where like you have to be involved in Greek life to have a social life on campus. I know a lot of schools in America are like that, where Greek life kind of takes up the majority of the student body and there's this sort of pressure to be involved. But I have never felt that way at UMass. I think there's so much more to do than just be involved in Greek life, but it's absolutely there for anyone who's wanted to, because it's a very great opportunity. But yeah, there's also a ton of internship opportunities. UMass actually has an amazing online database called Handshake, which is just specifically for UMass students. And Handshake basically is like a little, you can think of like basically like a mini LinkedIn, and it's a database of internships, job opportunities, and co-ops specifically just for us. And I find it really helpful. I get a ton of emails from them every day, and they're like, this is a great internship opportunity for you. And, you might like this. So it makes that internship search like really easy, and it like narrows down that whole like search process, which is like really difficult and sometimes scary. So I really like Handshake for that reason. And jobs on campus as well. Like we mentioned, we're all tour guides, which is amazing. We all love our job, and you can also get jobs anywhere on campus because we are such a large university, which means we do take a lot of maintaining, and our students are super involved in that. We have student workers in the dining halls and the library, so that they serve as tutors. They work in the campus store. They're PVTA drivers, which is basically our bus system on campus, stands for the Pioneer Valley Transit Authority. We have students working in the Recreation Center and in the Mullen Center, which is our athletic stadium on campus. And we also have a student job board. So it's basically this that you can just type in like UMass student job board, and it's a list of like a ton of job opportunities that are hiring, and all you have to do is like a link and like submit your resume, or like it'll take you an email for someone, you have to email for it, and it makes it like super easy to find jobs on campus. That's actually how I found my tour guide job, so I'm really grateful for that. We also have 7 student-run businesses, which is actually the most in the country. I absolutely love the student-run businesses because they're super, super fun, and they put like a fun twist to whatever they're doing. An example is this one student-run business called Sweets and More, and it's basically this like little dessert shop. You can think of like a little retro like pop-up shop with like cookies and like ice cream, milkshakes, like, and then like fun stuff like quesadillas and like sandwiches and burgers for like late night cravings. So it's all actually located in Orchard Hill, one of the residential areas, and I used to live there last year. So every time after dinner I would walk up there, and I would smell the cookies as I walked into my building, so I could not resist, and I would always be there after dinner for a quick sweet treat. But yeah, those are really great opportunities, especially for students to just get involved in like a business, if you know, if that's something your student is interested in. But yeah, it gives you that like firsthand like business experience. But yeah, we're gonna pass it on now back to Chris, and he's gonna talk about some campus resources.
Yeah, so thank you, Ria. So here on campus, obviously, again, if I haven't made it clear already, we are a very large university. So there needs to be a lot of not only things to do for students, but a lot of resources as well. I've used quite a few of them, whether professional resources, academic resources, disability resources, I could go on and on. But first of all, we're going to give a little virtual tour of our library, which is one of probably the most popular resources that we have here on campus. So located right inside here, this is one of the 27 floors here at the library. This is the Learning Commons. So students will tend to spend a ton of here reading, studying, getting work done. I was just there last week doing some homework with one of my friends. And again, this is one of the many floors in the library. There's a lot of like quiet study floors. This is probably the main hub of resources on campus, especially academically. There's a writing center in here for students that need any help with their writing. There is a tutoring center. So that's a great job for students to grab as well. If they feel really comfortable in a class and they want to help out other students, they can become tutors or you can get tutored, which I've got tutored in 2 classes throughout my college career. It's really helped me out in a big, big way. And outside of that, there are a ton of resources on campus that aren't just academic as well. So outside of that, we have CMAS, which oversees our 4 cultural centers, which include the Latinx American Cultural Center, Yuri Kochiyama Cultural Center, Malcolm X Cultural Center, Josephine White Eagle Cultural Center. Kind of similar to a lot of the things that we're kind of talking about right now. I'm not going to go into every single resource that we have here on campus because we would be going on pretty much forever. But some of the ones that I've used personally that I can speak upon, I broke my ankle my sophomore year, and we are, again, very large campus. So I was kind of dreading going back on campus, crutching around the entire time. But I was really lucky because our disability services are absolutely great. They pick you up, drive you to classes. They can like, if it's a class that you'd be like hindered in like terms of like writing, let's say you broke your hand, they'll pay someone to do all of the writing and note taking in your classes, which was really convenient for me, especially when I fractured my wrist. So that was really nice for me. Like I said, I've gotten tutored in like 4 different classes, or no, not 4 different classes. I've got tutored in 2 classes, and I've been a tutor for 1 other class as well. I've used the writing center so many times because again, I write for the school newspaper and I'm also a journalism major. So you can imagine how much writing I'm doing. So I pop down there all the time. They know me on a first name basis at this point after these 4 years. So that's been pretty fun to develop a nice relationship with them as well. But outside of that, there are a bunch that I've also not used that are available to students that may need different types of resources because obviously every student is different. So we also have the Stonewall Center, which is one of the first establishments in the nation specifically for the LGBTQIA plus population on campus, to which we are very welcoming towards those students specifically. We also have a bunch of different religious services. So the Newman Center, the Hillel House, and then there are also, the Newman Center, Hillel House, the Center for Women and Community for Men and Masculinity. Like I mentioned, the disability services. There's also counseling for psychological health centers. So pretty much anything you can think of, UMass puts it out there for us and gives us the opportunity to kind of use these resources to however we kind of need them. I've also used the professional resources in many, many ways, like resume help, cover letter help, mock interviews. The school, Eisenberg, runs a ton of career fairs for us every single semester, which was the sole reason that I got the current job that I have post grad. So I've used the majority of resources on campus, and it's definitely something that helps making integrating from living with your parents and them helping you out with literally everything from like laundry to like your homework from when you were a kid to moving to a completely foreign environment that much easier. And I feel like that's one of the best parts about going to such a big school like UMass, is that there's so much offered to you, and you just kind of have to be willing to kind of search it out and actually utilize it, and take advantage of it. So yeah, I'll pass it over to Fio to talk a little bit about what we're going to do off campus.
Yeah, so we have just come back from a long day. We've gone to study, we've gone to eat. Now we're trying to have fun off campus. And there's so many places to go, so many options that we have. So we do have the closest one to us is downtown Amherst. I would say from wherever point you're on campus, it should not take you more than 15 minutes by foot to get to downtown Amherst. A bus ride is probably like 2, 3, 4 minutes. But here we have, again, as I mentioned before, a lot of restaurants, a lot of little boutiques that you can go shop at. Again, we're really close to Amherst College, so we're always being in contact with them. If we have joint events, we can also attend that. I personally love to go to downtown just for Antonio's Pizza. When you become a UMass student, you would know more about that joint. But I love getting pizza from there after a night out. It's just always very fun. Another place that you can go is, again, Northampton. So Northampton is it's about a 15-minute bus ride. I'd like to say Northampton is just like Amherst, but a little bit bigger in the sense of like when you go to Northampton, you really do feel that artsy vibe. I would say it's very welcoming going to Northampton. There's so many different stores, so many different restaurants, different events that are happening over there. So that's just something that you can look into. The tour that you're seeing right now is downtown Amherst. Again, you can get here by bus or just walk, and there's just always something to do. Again, how you would move around is through the PVTA bus system. You do not need to bring a car on campus, but if you do, that's okay. You would have to pay for a parking pass just to make sure that you're parking your car on campus properly. But if you don't have a car, you can use our bus system. The PVTA bus system takes you as far as Springfield. And if you're trying to go to like New York or Boston, you can always take the Peter Pan bus system, which is not free for students. You do have to pay a little bit, but they do have a stop on campus, which is extremely helpful. And we also have the Greyhound bus and the Amtrak, which you can get from Northampton. So you can take a free bus to Northampton and then pay for any transportation that you're trying to take for a long distance. Now I will pass it off to Ria to talk about an evening activity that we could do.
Thank you, Fayo. And yeah, let's talk about some evening activities now. There are sport games, guest speakers. There's always something going on campus. It is super busy all the time. And tonight, your student is going to be headed to the student union. So in the student union is actually one of our buildings on campus, and it is home to this huge, like, little study hub where you can see in this 360 video, there's a ton of students studying. It's also just a great place to socialize, and like a lot of clubs will be tabling all day in the student union. It's also a place for like club fairs and like a ton of like little small fun activities throughout the day. So I usually come here when I'm feeling like a little burnt out. If I've been in the library for too long and I just need to, like, see some friends and like grab a bite, this is where I'll come. But as in the student union, we also have a black box theater. So it's actually really cool. They play a ton of movies in there almost every single weekend. So that's a great place to go if you just want to go and watch a free movie. They have a ton of performances. Like, we have this performance that they put on every year called UMass Got Talent. So that's super fun. You get to see students, that you go to school with and that go, to school with you, sorry. And you get to see them express their talents, which is really nice, in my opinion. And there's also the hub for all the student organizations. So there's a lot of meeting times here. So a lot of clubs will have their like club meetings here and things like that. We also have more evening activities, such as obviously our hockey games, our basketball games. There's a ton of improv, a cappella, and comedy shows. There's guest speakers, there's band performances, and there's a ton of concerts in the Mullen Center. We have brought a ton of famous people. We have had Cardi B in the past, Jack Harlow, Trippie Redd. Your students probably know these rappers maybe a little better than you do, but yes, they're really big names in the industry today. So UMass always does a great job of, keeping us entertained with them. And concerning the ticket prices for those, they're nowhere near like regular concert ticket prices. They're always very discounted for students, ranging in like the $25 to like $40 range. So I think that's a great opportunity for us. But yeah, to wrap it up, we're gonna, answer some of your last minute questions. So feel free to use that Q&A and ask us any questions you have.
And I will start my video there. Sorry about that, the delay there. I'm actually going to jump in and talk very quickly about something that's probably weighing on a lot of your minds out there. So it's parents of first-year college students, the FAFSA, and how it will impact the process. So at this point, the good thing is that we're all in the same boat together, waiting for the federal government to release that FAFSA data, and we're really hoping that they keep to their timeline of March, of mid-March. We anticipate that we'll have financial aid letters out shortly thereafter. Take us a couple of weeks, but we'll give students time to be able to make an informed decision by May 1st. That being said, if there's delays, then certainly check back in with us if we're going to be moving that deadline for deposit. And in the case that you or your family are going to need additional time, certainly let us know. And this year we are absolutely able to consider extensions for families. I know it's a stressful time. Unfortunately, again, despite the hardship, we are all in this together and want to make sure that our families have the information they need to make an informed decision. For more fun, though, let's go back to the good stuff here. Let's talk a little bit about the Honors College. Would any of you like to jump in and touch on the topic of the Commonwealth Honors College?
I can talk about it. I'm not in the Honors College, but I do have a few friends who are in it. And it's not like you're in a separate like academic college. It's just like a separate community on campus. So you can like major in whatever you want and still be in the Honors College. It's not like restricted to majors or anything. And it's really nice. Like we mentioned earlier, everyone is considered upon application. So you will find out in your acceptance letter whether or not you were accepted. But if you weren't accepted and you do want to be in the Honors College, that's also totally fine. You just have to go to UMass for one semester and then make sure your GPA is at least a 3.5, and you can actually reapply and get in that way. So what the Honors College is just like a separate community on campus, and they offer like a separate type of classes. They have like much smaller class sizes. They typically max out at like 20 to 25 students. And this gives those honors students the opportunity to kind of be in classes that are more like discussion based, and like, you know, you have that more like one-on-one relationship with your professor. So a lot of students like that and prefer that. And you also are required to have a thesis written by the end of your college career. So a lot of students like that, like heads up, especially if they're, you know, planning on going to master's or graduate school or something like that. So it's a great opportunity, but again, it's not something like you have to be involved in. It's just like, obviously everyone has a different career path and a different plan in mind. So if that's something that you think will help accelerate that, then it's a great opportunity. And yeah, honors housing obviously is great. So
Yes, it is the newest housing on campus, and it's the only housing at this time, university housing that has air conditioning. So it doesn't matter a lot of the year, but when it matters a lot. But thank you so much for that. For those of you who come from outside of Massachusetts, the idea of coming to UMass, it's a large university. How were you able to make connections? Were you able to find a community?
I could answer this
I was
one.
gonna say, you are an example of coming the furthest possible.
So yeah, again, as I said in the last session I came into UMass not knowing anyone. I had no friends. One of my friends from Nigeria came with me. So it was definitely a very new experience, very interesting experience as well. But I always like to say that, again, every UMass student is very different. Everyone's journey is very different. And I would always say that whether it be like your freshman year, your sophomore year, your junior year, you will find your people or your person. Like even though it's just one person or it's a couple people, you will find that. And the hack to finding that is to stepping out of your comfort zone. So I just always say, especially as first year students, you're very much in your head about like, if you should do this or go to that. I just always say, just do it. Like, just say yes as many times as you can. Not to the point where it overwhelms you. Know when you don't want to go to a party or you don't want to go to an event. But I would say be comfortable being uncomfortable sometimes, just because again, college is a first time for a lot of us. We are leaving our families. Some of us don't know anyone. So it's a very daunting experience sometimes, but there's so many ways to find friends and like get into the community. So if it's like going to clubs, going to club meetings, like how it works is when you come in as a freshman, I don't know if you guys have watched Pitch Perfect, but it's like where all the clubs are lined up and they're all like forcing you to join their clubs like by force. So you might find yourself like joining 10 clubs during our club fairs that we have. So we have different clubs come out and like talk about what they offer. But I would just say join as many as you can. As you see yourself going into your sophomore year, your junior year, you start to see them getting less and less just because you have less time when it comes to going to the clubs. But definitely go to those club meetings, even in your residential halls, your resident assistants, they have events that they plan very often. So just go to that as well. We always say leave your door open in your first week, and you see a lot of, in my freshman year, everyone had their doors open. So I just left mine open as well. So you might find yourself in that situation. A lot of freshmen do it just because, like, again, just remember, like, everyone is thinking the same thing as you. Everyone is trying to make friends. Everyone is trying to find their people. So everyone, majority of the time, they're open to like learning about you and learning who you are. So I would say you will find your people, no pressure. Again, it comes to us at different times, but just make sure that you are stepping out of your comfort zone and you're challenging yourself when it comes to meeting people and putting yourself out there.
Yeah, absolutely. And we're a research institution when we want to know not only the feel-good stories, but also look, what are the outcomes, right? As you're thinking about your students coming to UMass, how successful are we at connecting students to their communities, their academic supports, and so forth? I like to point to our outcomes. We have a 90% retention rate between freshman and sophomore year, and an 80% graduation rate within 4 years. UMass is really committed to not only enrolling and educating students, but supporting them to those successful conclusion and launching them into the next stage of their lives. One of the benefits of being a UMass Amherst student is that we are part of the 5-college consortium, which includes Mount Holyoke, Smith, Hampshire, and Amherst colleges. And our students are able to not only take courses at those other campuses, but they are also able to participate in the activities and the resources that are available there as well. Can any of you speak to either your own experience taking a course at one of the other four institutions, or perhaps you had a friend who did the same?
I can
I
answer
know.
this one.
Oh, okay, go for it, Chris. I will say, I know that the majority of people who take advantage of the 5-college consortium are the other campuses. So UMass actually hosts more of their students, but that doesn't mean it's still not a great resource for our students.
Yeah, so I personally have not taken a class outside of UMass. Well, I did study abroad, but not through the 5-college consortium. But one of my best friends, who we've been like really close since we were little, he goes to Amherst College and he plays football for them. And we actually had the opportunity this year to take intro to economics, which was a class that I had no interest in taking, but I just thought it'd be fun to kind of reminisce on high school. So this semester, he's actually traveling over to UMass. I think he's also taking intro to philanthropy. So he's taking 2 courses at UMass. It's really cool because he also gets a meal plan associated with coming over here. So we get lunch every single week. I've actually got the opportunity to go, like, we've done homework a few times. And also, so through the 5-college consortium, we're also welcome to study on those other 5 campuses as well. So I go over to Amherst College all the time, study for our econ tests together. It's been a really enjoyable experience. And it's also given him the opportunity to meet so many people outside of just Amherst College, because it just goes both ways. But like Rachel just said, more students tend to come. I don't know if I just paused. Am I frozen?
Yeah, it's okay. We can hear you though.
Okay. More students tend to come to us than we go to them. And it's been really cool because Brian, my friend who's studying here, has gotten the opportunity to meet so many different types of people or that go to UMass, considering the other 4 schools are a lot smaller. But I've also had one friend, my sophomore year, 2 years ago, take like intro to paragliding at Amherst College, which is a pretty cool course to be offered. And it's kind of like the same thing, but it's is like what Brian's doing here, but it's really fun for him because I remember he used to always tell us like how much fun it was to get to know students that are like in the area, but like you would have obviously never met them before. And obviously the other 4 colleges have much different feels than UMass, being like the large state school, Amherst, as well. Like Smith is a historically women's college. Amherst, actually all of the other four schools are very, very small schools. It's kind of cool to be able to still kind of get that small school vibe while still taking like going to UMass and getting all the resources of going to a big school. So it's pretty cool for students.
Yeah, but small comparatively.
Comparatively, yes. Comparatively.
And there are so many courses that students take it, and whether it be in linguistics, arts. I also love that our students are able to audition for performances at the other institutions, whether that be music or theater. They can display their art as well in different shows. Some really great opportunities there. And I wanted to touch on, there's a question here about those who have been selected for our study abroad in their first semester, that study in London, that is offered to students whose major coincides with what we can support. The question was specifically if their student does or does not take advantage of what is being offered as this opportunity, can they apply later on for other study abroad? Absolutely. Just because you turn down one option does not mean other doors close. So students, if they'd like to pursue studying abroad their freshman year, we can talk about that. If they're looking more like their junior or senior year, that makes sense too. We actually wanted Chris to talk a little bit more about study abroad. This question was directed to you.
Yeah, so I did not go abroad when I never wanted to go abroad. I was very anti because I missed my freshman year due to COVID. So I was pretty much like, I don't really want to leave the campus. Like, I really love being here. Why would I want to do that? And then last year, like second semester, junior year is usually the semester that a lot of people tend to go abroad. So I had one of my really, really close friends go to Barcelona, and she was like, "What are you guys doing for spring break? Like, you should come out, like you and all your friends should like come out and visit." We had a bunch of other friends like in other parts of Europe as well. So we decided to like, we'll save up for this trip, and we went. It was like the best week of my life. It was such a cool experience to be out there with all my friends, like see new culture, try new food. The weather was really, really nice comparatively to Massachusetts at that point. So that pretty much led like me and my best friend, we came back, we're like, we have to do this. Like, and I didn't want to miss any of senior year. So you can either go for a semester, for a year, or you can do like a winter or a summer session. So my best friend and I did a winter session in Florence, Italy, which was amazing. We just got back like about a month ago. So we spent 4 weeks traveling to like Florence, Paris, Amsterdam, and Dublin, and it was such a cool experience. The IPO office also made it really, which is the International Program Office. They kind of oversee all the students that go abroad. They made it really easy for me to kind of answer any questions that my family and I had financially, how my credits are going to transfer over, if I was still on track to graduate on time, how it would affect like my double major, all that kind of stuff. We got it all sorted away. It was a really, really cool experience. As you can probably imagine, it's like one of the few times in your life where you can literally just go somewhere else for a few weeks or like a few months and be totally immersed in that culture with like some of your best friends, see so many cool things, try so many new foods, and just live a totally different life than you live here. And it was easily like one of the coolest experiences of my entire life. And I was really, really lucky to do that with my best friend. So I highly, highly, highly recommend doing some sort of program, whether it's for a full year, full semester, just like a 2 or 3 week program in the winter. It's totally worth it. And it's amazing. It was a lot of fun.
Well, we're getting close to needing to wrap up. I do want to touch on research and internships at UMass. Coming to a research institution means you have opportunities, but how easy are they to access? Please weigh in on your thoughts and experiences.
Like I mentioned, I did research in the economics department last semester. It's also my major, so that's why I chose it. But I thought it was pretty easy. I was part of this program called URA. It was the Economics Undergraduate Research Assistant Program. So basically, what you have to do is you have to reach out to some professors that you know from economics classes that you've taken, or you can reach out to like an advisor in the economics department, and they will actually pair you with a professor. And so once you're paired with a professor, they're kind of gonna like create this like research question and like propose an idea for what you should do research on. And so I was paired with an amazing professor here at UMass. I had never taken a class with her, but our like interests really aligned really nicely. Like we were both interested in like the business side of economics. So that was great. We did some research in that, and we met like once a week over Zoom, and she kind of just like guided me through the whole research process. So I thought it was fairly easy to get involved. And then at the end of it, we had like huge like a poster presentation. So it felt like very formal and professional. It gives you kind of that like professional experience on like presentation skills and things like that. And so I really liked it. I think it gives you a great head start into, your professional career. And I know of a lot of other programs, like majors on campus that have the exact same program. So I think it's fairly easy to get involved, but you do have to make that like initial step of like reaching out and like talking to people that you've never talked to before. Like people aren't going to come to you and say like, hey, like, do you want to, take this position or this opportunity? So it is very much like the real world where you have to put yourself out there and kind of, make that network for yourself.
Absolutely. I love that internships and research opportunities is another example of UMass's collaboration and cross college schools and colleges. So you don't have to be a major in that particular school or college to participate in a research project that is sponsored through them, or to attend a job fair, career fair, internship fair. There are just, it's all about collaboration and lifting each other up. Well, my final question for you all before we wrap things up, just a quick thought, if you can make it that, on what's your advice as these parents and families are making that decision, their student is picking that piece. What last minute advice would you have for them?
I can go first. I would say go like in terms of like choosing what school. I feel like one, like make sure you actually physically go to the school. Don't just like do all your research online. For me personally, like there were so many schools online that I was like, I need to go here. And then the second I touched the campus, I just like could kind of feel whether or not this would have been a good fit for me or not. Um, and also if you're like someone like me that had no idea like really what the right decision was, like I would say obviously I'm really biased. I go to a really big school and my entire job is to like tell people why UMass is so great. But I would also say like if you don't really know what you want to do, definitely consider going to a big school. Like that really worked out very well for me. You can make a big school feel small. You can't make a small school feel big. I will live and die by that cliche. It is very true. UMass has given me like a million different opportunities to find out who I am and who I want to be going forward. And I don't know if that would have been as possible at a smaller school. And also find somewhere that also people don't want to go home. If that's like something that like I really appreciate about school is like I hate going home. I have a wonderful mother, wonderful dad, pretty nice sister, and like I never ever want to go home. And I think it's a great testament to the school. So find somewhere where people don't go home on the weekends because they love being there so much.
I'm going to steal that from you at some point. Ladies, you want to take us out?
Yeah, I second basically everything Chris said, especially like the not going home thing, because I know so many campuses where like by the time it's like 5 p.m. on Friday, like it's like half the campus is dead, like no one is there, like no one wants to do anything. But I think it's like the opposite at UMass. Like so many people like call their friends over and like come to UMass and like let's hang out this weekend here on campus. There's, this event going on, there's this game going on, or like there's always something going on. So I also, yeah, like I live like not too far away, where it's like not feasible for me to go home, but I've like never felt the need to or felt the desire to like really go home every weekend. So that's great. And then another thing for me was like, this is also very cliche for UMass, but like the food is so underrated. And I'm also a vegetarian, so that was a huge thing for me because UMass has so many like vegetarian options, vegan options, like basically options for every like sort of like dietary restriction. So my dad's biggest concern was like, how are you gonna eat? Like because he's heard like horror stories about campuses having like terrible food, like just chicken and rice and pasta and pizza, which is fine, basic American food, but why should we live with that when we can have like super nice cuisine from all over the world with chefs cooking up, fresh food for us every single hour of the day. So, and like the dining halls being open all day, every day was like so amazing because, you never have to worry about like when you're gonna eat. Like they cater to us, like we don't have to, like work around their time. They work around like our time. So, the food insecurity was like never even, thought of like when I got to campus. So I really like that part.
Awesome. Feo, you have the last word before I take it back over.
Obviously, for me, just because I was coming from another country, it's very different. So I would say, from my perspective, to international students who are on this call, I think I would say try your best, because I remember going, like, hopping on these calls at like 2 a.m. or like 1 a.m. Try your best, because I know it's hard, the time difference, there's a lot going on, but I would say if you can join something virtually, if you can watch the recording, try your best to do that. I immerse myself in YouTube videos. So if a school didn't have like a random YouTuber doing a day in the life, I wasn't going there. I just, so that was like my way of being able to see the school I wanted to go to through someone else's eyes. But again, I just always say, let's say you make a decision and you come to a school, I just always say that it's not the end of the world. I think, again, as Chris said, the joy of going to such a big school is having so many options. So if you get into UMass and you come here with some major and you're just not sure if this is you, there's always something else you could potentially do. So definitely counter that when you're trying to figure out where to go, but no pressure. Everything would work out, and it all works out in the end. So
Well, I appreciate that optimism, and thank you all so much for being a part of this panel today. I get the joy of closing us out today, talking about next steps, right? And of course, the next step is going to be making that decision if this is the right place for your student to enroll in the fall. Again, we do know about the challenges that everyone is facing in consideration of financial aid, and just know that the UMass admissions, financial aid, and campus as a whole is committing to giving you the time and information you need to make an informed decision. Then you're going to need to do the important thing is set up your email. Your student needs to check their email. They need to have that set up. That is how we are going to communicate to you, and how you are going to learn about things such as the Guide to the U, which is the start of that student orientation process for our students. They'll register online so they can come to campus as well, getting further and closer, getting closer to that first day of enrollment. It is important that our students complete all the things that are asked of them, so that when they arrive on campus, they can focus on the important thing of being a student and taking classes. At all these steps, your student will have not only a great student success team supporting them, but also the advisor for the school or college they'll be entering. In terms of, let's say, again, thank you so much for joining us. We can't wait to see you. But these kind of deadlines, again, looking at that, the FASA, we're working with that as best we can, that May 1 deadline for deposit. All of this is available to you, and as you saw earlier, you're definitely going to be able to have supports if you have any questions. The best way to stay connected to us is definitely through social media. Great way, as was pointed out by Feo, in terms of learning more about what it's like to be a student. But in general, you can absolutely email the admissions staff, and we can point you in the right direction to make sure that you have all the answers that you need. And truly, it is my pleasure to congratulate you again on your student success and acceptance to UMass Amherst. We're really glad you took time to join us today, and hope to see you and your families on campus in the fall. Thank you so much. Go UMass.